the biggest production approach that Matt Reeves took was making this version of Batman one that is entirely possible.
Police! Hands up! Stay still! Get out of here!
Yes, that's an
And
excellent
that
point.
is so haunting. It is genuinely terrifying.
Huzzah! There it is.
You know what I mean?
Yes. No,
Like,
I'm with you.
Every
100%.
other superhero movie I've ever seen is like, they might say that it's possible at times, like Iron Man, for instance, like it's just a real guy, but no, it's not. No, it's not. He does some pretty fictional things.
Look. The closest that, humanity in terms of, or rather like as close to reality as superhero films get, and like the possibility of them has always, I think this is safe to say, has always been Batman films.
Yep.
Batman speaking.
Some Batman villains that are like much more crazy, like Killer Croc or Clayface.
Oh, I totally forgot.
You know, like really, or Man-Bat, for example. Is this your first time hearing of Man-Bat?
I've never heard of Man-Bat.
Well, look him up. He's a fun one.
Jeez.
But all that to say, like, there are still, villains in the Batman canon that are just crazy, wild stuff. But yes, exactly. What made this particular film so much more haunting was just how they all felt more like people, and this all felt more like reality, and like Riddler can be somebody.
It's, I mean, maybe one of the most haunting lines of the entire movie is, he seems to be some accountant. Like, the second they say that, I'm like, I'm sorry, what did you just say?
He's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
That is freaky, right?
Yeah.
As-
Which makes it more effective.
Which makes it way more effective.
Because it makes the antagonist
Yes.
more human. And, like, once again, you don't have to necessarily agree with the antagonist in order to have the antagonist be successful.
Right.
But if you can establish some sort of relation between the audience and the antagonist,
Yeah.
and then occasionally to force the audience to confront with the mirror and force the audience to actually take a look within themselves, that is because of the antagonist, that is an effective use of the antagonist.
Right. For me, it always comes back to Thanos.
You should have gone for the head.
In my mind, like, the one of the best, like, storyboarded villains that I can think of in recent memory is Thanos, and it has nothing to do with the character's dialogue or execution or whatever. It's purely the fact that everyone in that theater, when they were watching Avengers, whenever they meet Thanos, they think he's awful and this, like, horrible person's villain and everything. But as the movie goes on, everyone has this moment where it clicks, and they aren't on his side ever, but I think to themselves, makes a lot of sense.
You can see the logic, and you can see
You're
how
like,
somebody
absolutely.
would be in Thanos' position.
And then he
right?
totally thinks he's right, and it's not that he has some, like, Joker-esque, like, crazy...
I'm crazy, yeah, I want anarchy.
Yeah, he has, like, some mental issue that is, like, driving him to this violent action or whatever. It's like, it totally makes sense. And that, I kind of saw quite a lot of that in the Riddler, where at first you're like, oh, he's just some crazy guy. But the further you get into the Riddler, you're like, he's really interesting. And although I don't agree with him, I can understand how he gets there.